And how about this to think about today? The crisis in Syria may be more than just a current foreign policy problem, with some seeing signs of biblical prophecies of the apocalypse in the events that are unfolding overseas. Passages in the Old Testament even make reference to Damascus falling into ruin, sparking worldwide conflict that some say leads to the coming of the Messiah. Joel Rosenberg is a former aide to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and he is a Middle East analyst and has written several books on this issue. Joel, welcome. Good to have you with us today.
Good to be with you, Martha.
You know, I think it's very interesting to look at this from that historic biblical perspective, because in many ways, obviously, you know, what you have here is a clash of civilizations in a larger sense, and of Christianity and of radical Islam, and this desire for a caliphate on the part of radical Islamists in that part of the world. So explain to us, take us through Isaiah and what your thinking is on what the Bible says about this.
Well, Martha, it is fascinating. We don't know for certain that the current events are definitely going to play out to be the fulfillment of Bible prophecy, but the implosion of Syria definitely has people interested. Isaiah 17 and its parallel passage in Jeremiah 49 both describe the absolute destruction, the catastrophic destruction of Damascus at some point in the eschatological future, the end times. Isaiah 17 verse 1 says, Damascus will be removed from being a city. One translation says it will cease to be a city. Now, Damascus has been attacked, it's been conquered throughout history, but it's never been removed as a city. It's one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities on the face of the earth, first mentioned in the Bible in Genesis, and now we're still talking about it today.
Yeah, you know, and it's very interesting when you look at these passages, but as you say, Damascus and the Middle East have been, you know, under duress, to put it mildly, over you know, the past several decades. So, I mean, why would this be, you know, that moment? And in biblical terms, we see so many things happen in the Bible that, you know, happen over the course of centuries, of thousands of years in biblical terms.
Well, Martha, what's interesting about this one is that you're right. We don't know for certain that we're in some time frame where these Bible prophecies will come true. But other Bible prophecies have come true, like the rebirth of the state of Israel in our own lifetime. And so those are major end times prophecies, Jews coming back to the Holy Land. One thing that's interesting about Jeremiah 49 is that it says people will be fleeing from the city of Damascus when this happens. And of course, we've seen 2 million Syrians flee the country of Syria in the last 30 months. 5 million Syrians have been internally displaced. They're fleeing from Damascus, from other towns and villages. They haven't left the country yet, but they're definitely fleeing. And the fear is that as we watch the implosion of the entire country of Syria, which is tragic, it's horrible, but is it possible that a judgment of Damascus for its evil is coming that would lead to the total fulfillment of those prophecies and the destruction of Damascus? We need to be praying, of course, for the people of that city as they go through such tragedy, but it is possible because those prophecies have not yet been fulfilled. And I wrote a book called Damascus Countdown. It's a New York Times bestseller. It's out right now. It's about how it could happen, but of course we don't know for sure that it will happen. But it's a tragedy either way in what's happening in Damascus right now.
You also see some parallels about what's said in the Bible about Egypt.
Well, that's true. Isaiah 19, just a few chapters later, indicates a terrible civil war, the rise of a fierce king, economic
Who's the fierce king?
problem. Well, you know, that's a good question. A few weeks ago, when some people speculated maybe it was Morsi. This is what the problem, or the challenge, let's say, with Bible prophecy. You want to study what the text says, and you want to understand it in its historical, grammatical context. And you can certainly look at the current events, but you do have to be careful not to overreach or to sensationalize the text, you know, doing what people call newspaper exegesis, trying to say that the newspaper proves the Bible. No. The Bible stands on its own, and for many centuries, people didn't think Israel would be reborn as a country and Jews would come back to the Holy Land. They thought that was, you know, symbolic. But it's happened now, and now that those series of end times prophecies have happened, it does cause people, even skeptics, to say, maybe the other things the Bible say will happen in the future will happen possibly even in our lifetime.
Very well, it's interesting, and it has a lot of people thinking. As you said, it's a New York Times bestseller, and people are looking at the big historic and biblical picture and where all of these pieces might fit in it in the world on the stage that we're watching now. Joel Rosenberg, thank you very much. Interesting talking
My
with
pleasure.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.